This is Ellsworth Family Connection New Start. It's a facility that provides family members accommodations while they visit their family that's incarcerated at the Ellsworth State Prison. It's a nonprofit organization, and just recently found out that it's experiencing some financial difficulties, and I had the idea of providing more people aware to become more aware of their purpose and vision. Their purpose is family unity. The organization is called Family Connection, and it's to provide family members the ability to visit their loved ones or family members while they're incarcerated. We spent the weekend here, and it only cost less than $100 for 2 rooms, which accommodated up to 6 people, I believe, and which is very affordable, I must say. And it's about a 3-hour drive from Overland Park, Kansas, which is where we left around 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and got here around 1 o'clock in the morning. And they came down and opened the doors and showed us around, even though it was 1 o'clock in the morning. They're very hospitable and the guests. The whole facility was once a motel that the state once provided funding for, but since have discontinued funding. So the land was donated, and 2 sisters, I believe, one's Rita, I forget the other name. They've been dedicated to maintaining this facility to allow, other family members.
Please come.
You look nice. I think there's members who are Indians, and that's a morning ritual. They've been doing it about an hour or so.
I just not hearing it.
Yeah. So they have an outside facility for children. It's less than, I'd say, 50 feet where the facility is located compared to where the prison's located. You can actually see the prison once you come outside. And I've somewhat gotten the idea that if we could get, it's right by the USDA headquarters in Ellsworth. Ellsworth is, I guess, a subdivision or a county. It looks like it's a county in Kansas. I think a friend of mine told me everyone has to pass through Ellsworth to be processed in or to be processed out. So it's a centralized facility for the whole state. So at some point, I believe every state prison inmate does find his way or her way through the Ellsworth facility. Therefore, it would make sense to maintain that ability while they're being released or transferred in, to have the ability to come and have meaningful visits for family members. So I'm thinking of what's the best way to accommodate so that more peoples in the state of Kansas, Missouri, and nationwide can become aware of a facility that, quite frankly, if nothing's done to ensure its existence, will soon find its way having to close its door because of financial constraints, which would be a shameful ending to a facility that has provided and will continue as long as it has the financial means to resources and accommodations for family members to be close to their family while they're still incarcerated. So I envision having a endowment established, a trust fund established. In fact, I'm hoping sometime today, at least can't open. I think everything is closed Monday through Friday. They open Monday through Friday and they're closed on the weekend. But I would like to get there's a bank that's here. I think it's probably the only bank here. But get a trust fund being able to be set up so people can send donations or volunteer on a more consistent basis, since this is a facility that I believe is supporting the whole state's incarceration or correctional facilities. I believe this is a statewide facility because it is providing the services to any and everyone who has family members that are transferred for processing here, which I'm believing. The rooms are pretty neat. They have an enclosure that is enclosed once you step in. That's outside. You have an inside lobby in each of the, I believe it appears to be 4 accommodations. But it has a sliding door, and then once you enter the sliding door, then you have your individual room that you're allowed to enter. Well, this is the room my wife and I stayed at for the weekend. It's pretty neat, homey. It provided provide your sheeting, your towel, and simple commodities that you're needing. Shampoo. The store is a Dollar General, a Sonic's, a Pizza Hut, and a, what's the other store? Casey's. And then there's also so at one point this was a motel back in the 50s for motorists going across, I believe, US 40 highway headed west or east, headed to Colorado. And it's been converted for the accommodations of family members of prisoners incarcerated at the Ellsworth facility. I think it has several decades left of use if only the accommodations for funding are met, which I have a desire and intentions of making sure that is what we're going to accomplish one way or another, because I'm inspired by the dedication of the sisters I've met and their desire to keep the costs relatively inexpensive, so accommodate more family members who wish to travel to visit their loved ones incarcerated here. So I think it's a very, very commendable dedication or commitment to do that, rather than going up just because of the cost of living goes up or the cost of supplies. They've remained relatively cheap in the cost that they charge, the cost or the expenses, not just simply passing the increase of operating this facility onto the patrons. They've just chose to make do with the funding that they have, which sometimes can be very challenging when you don't have a steady stream or a reliable source or standard or stable supply of income, which I believe a endowment or a trust fund would make them able to feel comfortable knowing that they were going to be able to continue this. They have a foundation that they have set up, and they finally got their 501c3, which is going to be instrumental in raising funding. And they just recently have gotten their tax exemption from property tax, which they had some difficulties meeting those expenses as well. So the only last piece of the puzzle that remains missing is establishing a stable supply of financing into the foreseeable future, which would be best accommodated by providing an endowment or a trust fund where people can donate and have the funding set aside for the funding and the future funding of this facility. So, when I get back to Overland Park, I intend to approach some church members, churches, and other organizations that may not be aware of this facility and the accommodations that it provides, with the intention of securing statewide private sector funding, which should not be, I would think, difficult. But as I've been shown in the past, what seems that should not be difficult sometimes can be some of the most difficult things that you have to encounter. So, having said that, we're going to stop here and begin this journey of setting up funding for this facility so they can ensure that it will be around for years to come. So this is Michael McKenzie, filming from Ellsworth Family Connections facility in Ellsworth, Kansas. We're headed out this morning back to Overland Park. My wife and two of her granddaughters came down. So we really enjoyed the accommodations, and I would love to have others who have the need to visit their family members and incarcerated in the Kansas correctional facility to be able to experience and enjoy these accommodations as well. So the only way to do it is become the change that you want to see in the world. I want to see this facility stay around for years to come. So the only way that can be definitely done is to take on the responsibility of making that so. And that's what I'm committed to doing. So here we go again, doing what you feel that needs to be done because it's the right thing to do. Michael McKenzie signing off in Ellsworth, Kansas, saying, let's begin this journey.